Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to be talking about the orbs and all the controversy going on revolving these cheaper orbs, cheaper way to get resonance and all of that. I want to cover that for you here on the channel. So I will read this article here from Kotaku talking about this topic, and I'll let you know if I agree or disagree with them on their take, and then I'll give you my context on this topic as well. So let's get into it. Alrighty, now first of all, right out the gate, sorry it's been a few days since I was able to get a video out here on the channel. You know, I do a bunch of different projects in the Aftershock umbrella. We're doing like Diablo 3 and got tons of different things going on. Now I am committed to playing Diablo Immortal, Diablo 3, and being really entrenched in the Diablo community for a very long time, and trying to figure out the best way to allocate my time and to produce all the content that I want to produce for the website and for videos is kind of pulling at my time in different directions. And I decided to make a different channel for the Diablo 3 content that I want to do. I'll link to it down below if you play Diablo 3 or you want to check that stuff out, because on this channel for the next year and a half, we're probably going to be pretty entrenched on covering Diablo Immortal and maybe a little bit of the Diablo 4 beta. But that is why the lapse here of a couple days, but we're going to try to be getting back at it and getting everything that we want to get done in the Diablo community. But anyway, now we got to dive into this hot topic of the orbs and everything going on with that. Which, by the way, as we dive in, I will link to the source material from Kotaku down below if you would like to pull that up and take a look. So in the real world, everything runs on Duncan and Diablo Immortal. It's powered by orbs, eternal orbs to be precise, and players are once again reckoning with the mobile action RPG's microtransaction economy after Blizzard announced that players who'd purchased hundreds of thousands of illicit orbs from third-party sellers won't be banned. And then we've got a reaction. This is BS, wrote somebody on Reddit. If I had known there would be no ban, I would have just bought third-party as well. Diablo Immortal is a loot-based dungeon crawler that can technically be played for free, but anyone who wants to become a serious contender in its competitive landscape will need to spend money on eternal orbs to efficiently grind its endgame. Some top players claim to have invested tens of thousands of dollars into the mobile spinoff, and recently more than a few found their orb hoards have been turned into orb debts after Blizzard purged the game of third-party reseller purchases. Yeah, so I think most of you probably have a grasp of what this is, but if you're not familiar, this is basically currency conversion services, where you'll be allowed to, instead of purchasing orbs with US dollar, you'll purchase orbs with a currency that translates favorably from the US dollar, so people can manipulate things to try and spend a lot less money, like where, you know, the 100 pack of orbs, instead of costing you $100, will cost you anywhere from like $10 to $90, depending on how you're going about the service and what one you're using. And there are also some extremely shady ones that will basically just take your money and then refund the purchase, and then the buck stops with you, and you get screwed over by having a negative balance on your account, or they're using like stolen credit cards or something like that. So all in all, obviously, you know, any advice I'm going to give you on the channel would be to purchase your orbs through the official avenues within Blizzard. So, you know, anytime that you don't do that, you're going to be opening yourself up to negative things happening to your account possibly. And this is not something that is only in Diablo Immortal. This is a very common thing. It is a very huge industry in gaming, because obviously in the last 5 to 8 years, we have seen the rise of pay-to-win in mobile games, and these services have been cropping up, hundreds, if not thousands of them, all over the world. So it is not something new to Diablo Immortal by any means. This happens in basically every game. And then we'll see what they say about it here. So eternal orbs are a paid currency in Diablo Immortal that fuel its end game progression. Everything from making activities drop rarer loot to obtaining platinum for crafting better gear requires shelling out for orbs. While there are a couple ways to earn them outright, they're predominantly purchased with real money. And since the road to a stronger Diablo character is paved with eternal orbs, players have an incentive to hunt for discounts wherever they can find them. Some of these discounts exist in the Diablo Immortal store. For $1, players can get 60 orbs. For $100, they can get 6,000 orbs plus the bonus 1,200 for $20 in savings. But the biggest discounts exist on third-party reseller platforms, promising troves of orbs at steep discounts. Google buy cheap eternal orbs, and one of the first sites in the search engine, okay, promises cheap and safe Diablo eternal orbs. One offering 7,200 orbs for $80. While some resellers might claim to be liquidating gift cards at a discount, the general understanding is that most of these services are a way for people to profit off of stolen credit cards. Instead of using your information to rack up charges at Walmart or Amazon, they can get cash directly by being a middleman for microtransactions and pocketing what is left. Players in the Diablo Immortal community specifically have been complaining about orb resellers becoming more and more prominent for weeks. And then they're showing a video here from JT is All Business, where you've got like the negative 2.5 million in orbs, because obviously if someone spent like tens of thousands of dollars and then it got refunded, or it was found out to be shady transactions, or whatever the case may be, and then Blizzard corrected their account to force them to pay the market value of where they live and where they would naturally purchase them, then obviously that orb balance would get transferred over and their account would be massively negative. A couple weeks ago, Blizzard finally took action. PC Games N reported that after the company revoked the illicit orb purchases en masse, some of the Diablo Immortal's biggest free-to-play whales were left with a giant negative balance. One top player goes by Shia, showed a screenshot balance of almost 2.5 million, roughly $35,000 worth. Some players rejoiced over the playing field being re-leveled, but others are now furious again after a new message from Blizzard customer service via Games Radar indicated that the company will not be banning the offending players. Having negative orbs on an account will not ban the Diablo Immortal account, a rep wrote in a message reposted on the Diablo Immortal subreddit. Gameplay limitation will apply to that account while the balance is negative though, so certain features will not be accessible until the orb balance reaches positive again. Yeah, so I haven't been on an account with a negative orb balance or anything, but I believe they're locked out of certain content. Like they can only do dungeons a certain way. Maybe they can't go in like the PvP battlegrounds. They can't do like the Rite of Exile. They can't raid the vault. Like certain things like that, certain game modes would be locked for that account while they are in negative standing, and they would need to deposit enough money to bring their account back up to a normal orb balance to unlock being able to be in that content again. But their account is not going to be just straight up banned for being in the negative eternal orbs, is kind of what this means. On the other hand, some of these larger depths are no joke, and presumably everyone involved is out whatever money they already paid for cheap orbs, which now have become some of the most expensive orbs that will ever exist in Diablo Immortal. At the same time, Blizzard's response stops short of a blanket ban on players engaging with third-party markets, and players are accusing some of the orb debtors of finding ways around their current account limitations to continue to play the game. I really don't care if they get fully banned, wrote one player on the subreddit, but they should not be allowed to circumvent their limits by using Party Finder, by forming their own groups, and they should especially not be allowed into Battlegrounds, Wars, or Right. Yeah, I agree with all that. Wrote another, so why would regular, legit pay players want to spend any more money at all? There's no consequence for those players, so why wouldn't everyone use third-party sources? I mean, as of now, I get what they're saying, but you still don't want to be putting your account in that situation, because obviously Blizzard has already shown they've got their eye on this situation. So this stuff could get changed. I wouldn't recommend people just run out and use these services no matter what and just YOLO a bunch of money, because this stuff, I mean, it's Blizzard's game. They can change their ruling at all times. So obviously, even though people aren't happy with the action being taken currently, that doesn't mean there's not going to be further action or anything like that. So it still is something you don't really want to be caught in the crosshairs of. Then lastly, they've got this situation. It might not be so messy if it weren't for Diablo Immortal's pay-to-win business model to begin with, and that's fair. We want to ensure a fair playing field for everyone in Diablo Immortal. Part of this effort involves taking action when we see players participate in fraudulent purchases. Blizzard wrote in a statement on September 7th, so that was just a couple days ago. Of course, those fraudulent purchases only exist in the first place because the only way to be number one in Diablo Immortal is to be one of the biggest in-game spenders, and it's incredibly lucrative arrangement. Diablo Immortal reportedly continues to rake in $1 million a day. Yeah, so, I don't really see any hot takes in this article or anything to disagree with. They're mostly just covering the news, which is fine. But yeah, I totally agree with the one comment here. I think if it's gonna be, I understand that the sentiment is gonna be just ban everybody, but legally it gets into really gray area because of like the currency transfers and stuff like that. Like if you have a family member that lives outside of the country and they buy you a gift card for Christmas, and you want to spend that on orbs. I mean, there's just so many weird circumstances to just do like blanket sweep bans. I wouldn't be against it if they could prove there was abuse going on, obviously, but I'm just saying there's a lot of gray area there. So I think while somebody is in a negative orb balance, you definitely want them removed from any sort of PvP. You don't want someone getting orbs for $10 on a 100 pack and getting a 90% discount and then smashing people in PvP. Obviously, no one wants that. So they definitely need to get that right and get these players, and if they're not going to ban them, get their account into a state where they can't participate in any sort of PvP content with the massive discounts they were given is kind of my take on it. But let me know what you think down below, and yeah, we'll stay in the loop and cover everything around Diablo Immortal and how this is going to shake out, and keep you up to date on how everything is going with the orbs and everything in the community. So that'll do it for me on this one, and as always, remember to subscribe if you enjoy Diablo Immortal content, and I will see you soon in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.